You are now listening to Monday Sound Off Randomness on the Monday Sound Off Randomness on the Creative Lips Podcast. Pull up. Yes, guys, I am back. Yes. You know, I take these breaks, guys. If you've been listening to me, I appreciate you all for tuning in to this episode 107, guys. Yes, I am your host, Regina. You are now listening to the Creative Lips Podcast. Yes, this is Monday Randomness Sound Off, guys. And tune in on the other side. All right. Yes, guys. Oh my goodness. Yes. It's been some time, guys. I have been away, as I stated before. And yes, I am back. I am back to grace your airwaves. Yes, and thank you all for, I just want to say that once again, you all have continued your support, your genuine support, and still downloading my episodes, man. Oh my goodness. Even when I'm away. I mean, it's darn near in the middle of 2024, as they, want to say correctly, But however, it's June. Yes, it is June. Yes. And summer is coming upon us on June the 20th, guys. Yes. So this is episode 107. And once again, I am your host, Regina. You are listening to the Creative Lips Podcast. Yes. You are now listening to Monday Sound Off Randomness.
Yes, guys.
Yes. On the
This is what it is. Yes, guys. I
I appreciate you all tuning in with me. I appreciate you all once again for rocking with me. And y'all, you know, if you have been my day ones, and you know how I start off my podcast, but if you are new, I welcome all the new listeners, and of course, just like I said, all of the active listeners. I like to start off my podcast with words of encouragement. Yes, words of encouragement, guys. You know, because, it's a lot going on out there in this world. There's so much going on out there in this world that, sometimes we need to hear good words of affirmation, positive words, something that can get you through the day, the nighttime, anytime, other day you are listening to my episodes. So that's how I like to start off my podcast. So I like to say that who is ever listening to this episode, you know what you're going through. You know what you are faced with. You know what is before you. You know what you have to do. You know what you have to stop doing. Whatever it is that you are faced with in your life, I'm here to tell you that you will make it through. You will make it through that tough situation. You will figure out a solution. It will work its way through. All you have to do is just sit there and have that faith and have that belief to know that you are going to get through that situation. Now, I also want to add to that, some situations is not always easy to get yourself out of. Sometimes we may need a little help along the way. Sometimes we may need to reach out to whomever that we can trust. Or sometimes we may need to reach out to a professional, like a therapist, someone that can help us through our life, or even a life coach. Someone that can help us see that light, help us come up with a plan. And always don't be afraid to ask, to pick up that phone. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be too embarrassed to ask someone for that extra hand, because you never know what you might get. I always say that to people. Don't be afraid. Just don't. And certain situations we get ourselves into. Let's talk about that. Certain situations we put ourselves in, and we know that we shouldn't have went down that road. We shouldn't have even done that or said that or took that. But however, the mistakes that we make in our life is for us to grow, for us to evolve, for us to learn from. So whatever it is that you decided to do in your life, I'm here to tell you, you can get past that too. As long as you learn from it. Learn from it, guys. Yes, learn from it and grow from it, evolve from it, and move on. Yes, guys. Yo. So once again, you are now listening to the Creative Lips Podcast, and I am your host, Regina. This is Monday Randomness Sound Off, where I talk a little bit about everything. I do. I talk a little bit about everything. I talk about the latest topics, the latest news, random stuff. And a little bit about me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I do. Yes. So let's get into it. So I want to talk about trends. I want to talk about fashion, because I love fashion. I love trends. I love some of the latest trends now. Some of the latest trends. Some of them. The other ones, they got to go. The ones that I don't like. But I want to say that among U.S. consumer. Now, this is in the U.S. U.S. consumers, the two most popular categories online for purchases are clothing and shoes, guys. Yes. Clothing and shoes. And that's online. That's not even, patronizing the mom and pop, the brick and mortars, the mall. No, that's online. People are shopping more online more than ever. And especially since after the pandemic, people have been doing that. They've just been continuing on with that trend of shopping online. And I can just say that I am one of them. I know the pandemic has brought me into my own, I wouldn't say a hobby. I'd say something that I love, something that I find comfort with is, especially when I had the money in the funds,
Pull up my select.
Yes. When I had the money in the funds, it's sneakers. Yes. Sneakers, basketball shoes, whatever, I am now officially a sneakerhead. Yes. And it has been bringing me joy. And it's something that I love to do. I've been collecting a lot of sneakers, ever since starting from the pandemic. I just been doing that. And that's fun to me. It's just fun to me. Every now and again, now I don't go crazy, and buy those, expensive sneakers like $1,000 and nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Heck no. I do not do that. I don't buy. No, I don't go that route because, I have a mortgage to pay now, So, I do stuff, strategically. I do. And, I make sure that it's in my budget. And if it's not, then I don't get it, But, however, that's something that I love to do. But, however, that is the biggest trend. Right now, people are shopping more than ever. People are trying to put into this economy, as to what they feel as though that they need. The needs are, right now, the needs are things that people can afford, So I feel as though that people are spending their money more so on things that they need for their family. Because right now let's look at the other side of this trend of buying clothes and shoes and, and buying stuff online. Right now people are really trying to stay afloat because the economy really, in fact, is suffering. Now, even though with the economy, suffering the way that it is, people are still buying stuff. People are still shopping. People are still spending their money, whatever money that they have. And also in your city, in your state, with wages needed to be increased, that's another thing that needs to be added to, your survival. Your survival on a daily basis, trying to survive, trying to stay afloat, trying to, make ends meet for your family, for you, for yourself. Right now they're basically saying, just to add into, the economy, talk about the economy, they're saying that inflation is down. They said unemployment is down. And wages are up. This is what the Biden administration is saying that. They're basically trying to push this agenda and trying to push and say that this is what's happening right now. But however, if you know what's going on in your state and in your city, and you know what's going on, and you see that these have not changed. Wages, I know in my city, in Philadelphia, the wage is still $7.25. $7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour. And it's been like that for a long time. For years. And for many, many years, people have been protesting and asking for a higher wage here in the city of Philadelphia. And I don't know if and when we're ever going to get that wage increase. But, added to that, people are still spending their money with whatever money that they have to buy the necessities and to buy the things that they need. I started off talking about, buying into fashion, and a lot of people are spending their money and all that stuff like that. But those are for the people who have the means to do that. Now, you have people who don't have the means. And what about them? What about the ones that do want to buy and would like to buy stuff for their loved ones? Maybe their child might like the latest, I'm in the sneakers, like the latest basketball sneaker or the latest shoes or whatever. But they can't afford to buy that for their child because, they have to buy stuff that's more important, like food. And even on top of food prices continue on to increase. I know that recently I do my groceries. When I did my groceries, it's like every week it goes up. Like before, I was spending for myself and my family, I was spending like about $160. And this is every other week that I do my grocery shopping. Every other week that I do this, guys, Oh my goodness, every other week. And now, a month later, I'm spending almost over $200. $200 every other week. So that's $400 a month that I am spending on my groceries. And that's a lot for some. That's a lot for some who cannot afford it. Who, let alone they have to pay the bills, they have to pay their rent or mortgage, and then they have to buy the necessities that they need for their family, for their loved ones, and for themselves. And it's hard. They have to either get this or not get that. You know what I'm saying? They have to figure it out. They have to choose. It shouldn't be an option where a family has to choose in between the two. It shouldn't have to be to where it's like, okay, I'm just going to let this one go, but I'm going to get the other thing. And this is where we're at with this economy. Now, the Biden administration is basically trying to push this agenda because he's running for the presidential campaign coming up pretty soon. These are stories that really matter. On top of the things that the economic trends is really needs to be talked about is what are they going to talk about? That's the question. These are things that need to be talked about. What are you going to be talking about when it comes to this economy with helping, with helping this recession? They're basically saying that this recession is probably the worst, and inflation, of course, can be driven by the high demand of what's happening, by the byproduct of the economy, and it's neither of it is really great, because inflation is just as frustrating for all of us. Just like I said a couple of moments ago, trying to make ends meet for everyone. And there are a lot of people who need help. And, I want to say that, with a lot of the food banks are also suffering. There are a lot of food banks that are suffering for people to even give them food, provide food for them because they are suffering themselves too. So when does this end? When does this inflation end? We will never know. We will never know when does it end. Does it rise again or does it go down? They're basically saying that it went down, 3.3%. Last month it had went down. But, it's, I don't know. my prediction, I don't think they ever will. All right, enough about that topic. Yeah, so I just want to get into talking a little bit about myself. So, guys, yes, I have been away. Yes, I have. I have been away for just a little bit. And, I just been trying to really think about where I want my podcast to focus on. I want to know, from you listeners. I want to know from you active listeners and also you new listeners. I want to know, where do you think my podcast needs to go? Where would you like to hear, if you like to hear more topics and such, talking about the latest news, the economy, talking about, what's going on with the latest trends and latest fashion, even about music, because I do have my Music Fridays, which will be coming back. And I just recently did my past Music Fridays, this past music mix. Yes, it's a soulful house mix. And that is available on all your streaming platforms except Spotify. Because Spotify, for some reason, will not upload my music, my DJ music mix sets. They have the older ones on there, which all of you are just still downloading it. Especially the house mix. That's my favorite and my favorite genre to mix. I love house and dance music, and that's what I specialize in when I do my DJing. And, just like I said, I am practicing. So, you DJs, you seasoned DJs, I know y'all can hear. Y'all can hear my mistakes and stuff like that. But however, I just DJ for myself. I don't DJ for the general public and stuff like that. So, but if you happen to like my music mix sets, then, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the love. I appreciate you all. And also, I am going to bring back my Wednesdays, my self-care Wednesdays. It's going to be coming back pretty soon. I'm going to be talking about more topics focusing on depression, focusing on mental disorders, focusing on a lot of topics like that, because it still runs rampant in the community, especially the Black community. And it's something that we never really talk about. And the next episode, my Self-Care Wednesdays, is going to be available. It's going to be available this Wednesday. And I'm going to be talking about men's mental health. We're going to really talk about that because it's something that they don't talk about. We don't really talk about that a lot. We really need to focus on a topic about that. And we're going to talk about Black men's mental health. And I would like for you all to tune in for my Self-Care Wednesdays. I really appreciate you all, for, once again, just like I said, just rocking with me. Yes, guys. Once again, guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in with me and rocking with me. Yes, I do. Telling you, I thank you all for the love. Thank you all for the genuine support. Thank you all for still rocking with me and downloading all of my episodes. Yes, you are. Yes, I'm telling you, I have over 25,000 downloads. Yes, I do. And I can show y'all the stats. I can show y'all the stats. I'll put it out there, on my social media. So follow me there at Instagram at Creative Lips Podcast, and also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. Follow me there at Creative Lips Pod. Yes, guys. And I'm also on SoundCloud, Creative Lips Podcast, and also on YouTube. Trying to revamp that as well. Trying to find different locations to film it live, so you can see a sister, finally. Trying to do that for you guys. Working on a lot of things this year, and hopefully it should come to fruition. so I can keep on rocking and giving you all this great content that you continually on supporting me. So this is episode 107, and I'm your host, Regina. You are listening to the Creative Lips Podcast. All right, guys. Until next time.
You are now listening to episode 107 of the Creative Lips Podcast.